Yeah, you can start now.
Yeah.
शिवकुमार जी आरम्भं कुर्मः वा?
एकनिमिषं माता। सर्वेषां नमस्कारः, शुभसायङ्कालः। I request baby Kannan ji, alias Venkatalakshmi ji, to anchor the program, today's program. Over to baby Kannan ji.
नमः सर्वेभ्यः। अहं बेबी कण्णन् बेंगलूरु नगरात् वदामि। अधुना अस्माकं विश्वगुरुसङ्घटनस्य संस्कृतवाणी कार्यक्रमस्य तृतीयमेलनार्थं वयम् अत्र सम्मिलिताः सन्ति। स्वागतं सर्वेभ्यः। शुभदिनमस्तु। Namaskaram to all. On the eve of our Vishwa Guru Amritavani's third meeting day, we gather here to empower our group. I am welcoming you all. Have a nice day. Dhanyavadaha. Prathamam Prarthana Geetam Gatum Srimati Sandhya Krishnan Mahodayam Akvayami. Sa Shastra Vishwavidyalaye Law course Patanti Asti. I am inviting Miss Sandhya Krishnan to sing the prayer song. She is the 4th year law student of Shastra University. Kripaya Sandhya Krishnan ji agachatu.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Ya kundindu tusharahar dhavana, ya shubhravastra ya veeravarathanda manditakara, ya shveta padmasana, ya brahmachata shankara prabhidate देवे सदा पूजिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेष जाड्यापहा। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवादः भगिनी। शुभ आरम्भं भवति। अग्रे भगवद्गीतायाः श्लोकं वक्तुं श्रीमान शिवकुमार महोदयं प्रार्थयामि। I request Mrs. Sivakumar ji to say the Bhagavad Gita shlokam.
Namaskara. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Dashamodhyayah Vibhuti Yogaha Shloka Sankhya Ashtatrimshat. Dando Damayatam Asmi Nidirasmi Jagishatam Maunam Chaivaspi Gufyanam Jnanam Jnanavatamaham. The meaning of the shloka is, I am the just punishment among the means of preventing lawlessness and proper conduct among those who seek victory. Among the secrets, I am silence, and in the wise, I am their wisdom. The meaning in Tamil is, Dandippavaர்கள் வாள் நான் செங்கோலாகவும் வெற்றி வேண்டுபவனிடத்து நான் நீதியாகவும் ரகசியங்களுள் நான் மௌனமாகவும் நாளிகளுடைய ஞானமாகவும் நானே இருக்கின்றேன் என்று பகவான் ஸ்ரீகிருஷ்ணர் பகவத்கீதை 10வது அத்தியாயம் விபூதி யோகத்தில் கூறியுள்ளார். धन्यवादः.
धन्यवादः महोदय. श्लोकं रुचिकररूपेण उक्तवान्. Thank you, sir. Your shlokam as well as meaning both are very useful for our life. Thank you. Agre Subhashitam Bhashitum Shriman K.K. Vishwanathan Mahodayam Ahvayami. I request Mr. K.K. Vishwanathan to say the Subhashitam. Vishwanathan ji, कृपया. Vishwanathan ji.
Vishwanathan ji has not joined.
Vishwanathan ji has not joined. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll go to the second part.
Just a minute. Uma Jayaraman ma'am.
Okay. He is coming. He is joining.
Okay.
भगिनी सह यावत् आगच्छति अहं किमपि वदामि किल. Till he comes, I'll just tell a very common Subhashitam. Is it okay?
भवती वदति वा भगिनी?
आम् एकं किञ्चित् यावत् विश्वनाथ महोदयः आगच्छति तावत् पर्यन्तं किमपि एकः लघु श्लोकः. अस्तु अनुमन्यते. उद्यमेन हि सिद्ध्यन्ति कार्याणि न मनोरथैः न हि सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य प्रविशन्ति मुखे मृगाः इति. It's a very common shloka where everything is possible in this world only by hard work. Without hard work, absolutely nothing can be achieved. And so udyama is effort. Udyamena, by effort. He is added just to emphasize. Udyamena hi siddhyanti. Siddhyanti safalaha bhavanti iti. They are successful. Udyamena hi siddhyanti karyani. Karyani, all deeds. Whatever a person wants to achieve. Na manorathaihi. Just by simply, wishful thinking, nothing is possible. Tatra udaharanam ekam kavihi dadati. He also gives an example. Nahi suptasya simhasya. A lion is just sleeping, ghar iti, tatha so this is during time.
And ancient Gurukulam system and pedagogy, his other skills are storytelling and yogi games.
सर्वेभ्यः स्वागतम्. अहम् अतीव सन्तुष्टः मुदितः अद्य एतादृशसमूहः सामान्यतया न लभ्यते. संस्कृतविषये अतीव उत्सुकाः, भारतीय संस्कृतेः विषये अपि अतीव श्रद्धावन्ताः, श्रेष्ठाः, शिष्टाः एतादृशसमूहे सन्ति. मामपि अत्र आहूतवन्तः. सर्वेभ्यः धन्यवादः. As I was instructed, I will be continuing this talk in English from here on. there are a few disclaimers I would like to discuss in the first before starting the session. I am very young. I am just 35 years old, and my experience is also very limited, at least in this Janma. And there are so many elders, those who have done amazing work. Ravi Kumar ji is here, and many others are there. So first of all, before starting the session, I would like to ask pre-apology, so that in case if I do any mistakes, if I make any statements which is not right, please do correct me and consider me as a student. We are going to see three different dimensions of application of Bhagavad Gita in family life today. First will be basic one, which with a little bit of understanding, we can also understand, anybody can understand. The second thing is we are going to see Tarkika Anvaya, the logical understanding from scripture which we can apply. And also third, we will be seeing Siddhantic, philosophical application. And we are seeing particularly on a family because long before, some 17 years ago, when I was in Veda Vijnana Gurukulam, Bangalore, which is run by RSS, I was very much inspired by Nag Krishnappa ji, the Akhila Bharatiya Kutumba Prabodhan Pramukh then, and he is the founder also. And I strongly felt family is the base of everything. Therefore, since then, I had a deep desire to create an atmosphere and a platform where the Indian approach of family system can be systematically program wise, it can be taught to younger generation. It's been around 1 year now since I launched this project, and my entire focus is family, and that is why when Shivakumar ji approached, I thought family can be an amazing thing to share. We will be seeing direct things and also something, indirect things. There can be few things which can be already known to you. I consider that you all don't know and they speak, so that in a versatile audience like this, the content can be delivered. Sometimes if the statement can be, very pushing, but please consider this for the purpose of impact of the content. Am I audible? Is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Dhanyavad.
Samyak Shriyate, Mahodaya.
Dhanyavad. I have made some notes. I don't know how much I can cover, but I will try my level best to make it interactive or interesting and also useful. Bhagavad Gita was said by Krishna. And Krishna is a very, very unique person. Krishna is a kind of a person whom people see from their perspective. Whereas Krishna had multiple dimensions. And very few people could see Krishna as Krishna. Because Krishna was a different person to different people. And also Krishna was a different person in different timeline in his life. So he was a child, he was playful, he was fun, he was naughty, and then he was, romantic, he was an artist, he was a social service guy, a revolutionist, he was a politician, he was a counselor, he was an advisor, he was a manager, he was a psychologist, he was a leader, and he was a saint, and he was a bachelor. He is called also, Nitya Brahmachari. Nitya Brahmachari means the one who is eternally in the plane of brahmacharyam. So even the Nitya Sannyasis, those who never married in their whole life, they used to come and touch his feet and say, you are Nitya Brahmachari. So even Sannyasis saw him as brahmachari, even though he had, so many wives. So he had all colors, he had, all personalities, all, designs and dimensions. That is the problem also, because people saw Krishna in the way they could see, and because of which Krishna got different colors from different perspective. For example, Tulasidas was there, who was very much attached with Krishna's Bala Surupa. So he saw Krishna as a small boy. And he also got darshan of Krishna as a Bala Krishna. And for him, the adulthood of Krishna or the romantic dimension of Krishna was not acceptable. He goes and he restrained himself to the childhood of Krishna. And whereas there are another people, those who are scholars in Sanskritam, where they discuss Bhagavad Gita and Shastras and Tikas and Tippanis and Bhashyams, Ashtatika, so many things. And for them, Krishna is a Yogeshwara Krishna who gave us Bhagavad Gita. And for them, Krishna is a Mukti Pradayaka. So for them, he is not any of the stories. Krishna is like a guru. Krishna is like a yogi. So likewise, there are different dimensions for Krishna. And the beauty is, Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is also exactly like Krishna. Because Lokmanya Tilak wrote Bhagavad Gita's commentary. And Mahatma Gandhiji also wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And both are extremely opposite people. One was a fighter and the another one was a complete, ahimsavadi. And Krishna himself told, fight and don't be a coward. And Bhagavad Gita is my mother, told by Mahatma Gandhiji. So how could all these be possible? All these are possible because Bhagavad Gita is also exactly like Krishna himself. Therefore, if you are a IT person with so much of stress, then Bhagavad Gita will be a complete different person, different content for you. If you are a spiritually oriented person who is looking forward towards a spiritual elevation or sublimation in your life, then Bhagavad Gita will have a complete different picture. If you are a student preparing for UPSC exam, then Bhagavad Gita is completely for you, something which can motivate you, inspire you, give you focus, attention, concentration. And if you are a sick person and you are, counting your days, even for them, Bhagavad Gita is going to be, amazingly helpful, where they feel Bhagavad Gita is for the people, those who are about to die, so that they will understand the philosophy and they say that this is not body, this is just a dress. And same way, the body is also like a dress. Exactly. So Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, both have complete different colors and dimensions and perspectives. First, we need to understand this, because there is a wild statements that, you come up with anything and then you bring from scripture and you just connect in one or the other way. And people say, everything is in India, everything is in Bhagavad Gita, everything is in. No. The uniqueness of Indian scripture is Indian scriptures are very, very holistic. And I say holistic because that is the reason why in India, we never produced self-help books. You might have heard so many self-help books, right? 7 steps to achieve success, how to make friends, all communication, management, stress, leadership. In different contexts, there are different books from the Westerners, but in ancient Indian scriptures, you don't find a single book to improve one particular quality of a person. Why? Because always in India, the approach was subjective. This is the first dimension, so that you can't generally come up with a statement and teach everybody how to do what to do. Today, what we do in YouTube, because people may understand in the way they want to understand, which may lead to good or bad. The second dimension is we see everything in a holistic way. And what do I mean by holistic? A person is having anger. And if I try to compress or suppress anger or stop anger, then in some other way, that energy can get into him and he may get into a different problem. So they don't they never created any scripture based on a problem. They created scripture for a better purpose. Srinivasan ji, you are saying something? Okay. So therefore, the entire approach of Bhagavad Gita was also very, very holistic, and whoever goes to the scripture, we get what we want or what we look for. Therefore, definitely, we can connect to all perspectives of our life, and we can take the wisdom from Bhagavad Gita and we can make it wonderful. To be frank, Bhagavad Gita is not about any one topic. Bhagavad Gita is about our very life. The argument started because Arjuna was very much confused whether he should fight or not. And he said that I am not going to fight, I am going to beg, and I am going to live a life in the forest instead of killing my own relatives and my own gurus and great people. Whereas Krishna's argument was completely different. If we are there, then we would have definitely reminded Arjuna that what and all Duryodhana did. Do you remember how many times he tried to kill your brother? Do you remember how many times he tried to insult you in public? Do you know what happened in that the dice game? Do you know what happened in the palace? So on and go on. We will be telling the mistakes done by the other side. This is the normal human logic. When you say something no, then they will find why exactly it started in the first place, and they come up with the logic to support it. But 700 shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna never brought even a single dimension against Duryodhana or against anything happened in the past. Why? Because Krishna's purpose was not to make this person to get angry and fight. I repeat, Krishna's intention was not to create anger in Arjuna and get some the Coca-Cola spirit. When you open Coca-Cola, full boost energy comes, but that energy is not constant. Why? Because if you open and keep a carbohydrate filled drink, in few seconds it will become just water. The same way, the energy which Krishna wants to give ideally to Arjuna was something which is sustainable and not something which is momentary. So that is the reason why in the entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and Arjuna discussed not about their family issues, not about Mahabharata, not about war, but about human life. And that is why Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is very relevant to all walks of life. Now, it's a very, very vast topic, and there are so many multiple dimensions and so many perspectives people can discuss. And in Veda Vijnana Gurukulam, we had Bhagavad Gita class for 3 years. And every day there used to be Bhagavad Gita class. And for 3 years, they took 18 chapters. Sometimes in 1 hour, we will cover 10 shlokas. And sometimes for 1 whole week, we will be just completing half a line of shloka. So this is how based on the need of the subject, we used to take. And 3 hours. And when they completed, they told, no, we have just seen Bhagavad Gita in a superficial way. To go more deep into the scripture, then it takes more time. And that is when we understood we have not understood. So I'm not here to say that this is what Bhagavad Gita says, but here I am going to share 2-3 things with you with my experience, what I learned for my family life, so that this can be authentic from my perspective at least. Right now, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you no need to answer. But the purpose of this is, one second. Yes. Very sorry. The purpose of this question is to understand our topic today. Why do we need the intervention of Bhagavad Gita in our family life in the first place? So the purpose of marriage today is happening just because it is a custom, or it is a situation where no one gives you an option. It is something kind of a forced, inevitable thing to happen in everybody's life, until and unless you are revolt or you have something out of box. Therefore, 99.9% of people generally do get married. Now, why do people get married? It's a very, very big question, which most of us don't have answer. The second thing is, even when we think on why we need to marry, the intention behind the rishis is something which is very, very awesome, which is very, very cool. The very concept of marriage itself is very unique, because you can't create a system of marriage in every house, in every caste, in every religion, in every nook and corner of the country mandatorily, without any centralized system or law or a constitution. Whereas in our country, so many such amazing things are injected in our system without even our knowledge. There is one a very big secret which I would like to share before entering into this marriage part. thousands and thousands of years ago in Satya Yuga, marriage dimension was not there. The marriage concept, what we have today, where relatives come and there is a Agni and there is a Pratigna and there is Saptapadi and then Kanyadanam, all these things were not there in Satya Yugam, where in that time the marriage concept was so amazing that they never had any situation where they need to marry based on some rules and regulations and contract and sakshi. No. So they had a level of elevated souls they were. So when they see a person and they think that such a person should be my child, and when they see such kind of knowledge or such kind of a great soul should be my child, then they will go and request that person or that gender, whoever it can be, and when they agree, then they come together and they give a child, and that child will be taken care of in the future. Even in Dwapara Yuga, we have seen this very story where Satyavati and Vyasa's father Parashara, they get into marriage in this sense, where when Satyavati saw Parashara, Satyavati really felt such a great soul. Accidentally, he came to her village in the Ganga, that river bank, and she really feels like I should have such kind of a son. And when she requested, Parashara agreed and gave her a son, and that son was Vyasa Maharishi. So therefore, in those days, the marriage concepts were completely different. But in 21st century, where we are living in, the marriage is completely different, where the problems, the confusions, the fights, the relationships, the separations, the agreements, the financial issues, the freedom issue, so many complications we are living in. And that is why this concept of Bhagavad Gita, which we are going to discuss, is going to be the direct connection with the problems happening in our family life. And it is not that when we don't have more fight or when we don't have frequent fight, our family life is safe and happy. For few people, those who think that we came here for Bhagavad Gita, but we are having something else, please hold on. Only when you understand this little deeply that you can sink in. So it is not about how frequently you have fight or what kind of a fight you have. It is about how comfortable you are, how happy you are. If there is one hesitation happens in your mind when you see the phone call of your life partner, if there is one situation where when you enter into the house, you have a hesitation of, oh, again, I need to get into this house. Or when some statement comes from your life partner, if you think, again started. If these kinds of any moment happens for half a second in your mind, that shows that you are not having a happy life. Happy life, happy family life is something which is equal to leading a life of a realized soul. Santushta Satatam Yogi. Yogi is a person, according to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, is a person who is always happy. And Grihastha is the Adhara of all other ashramas. If the very foundation is not happy and sustainable, then the entire system would have been collapsed, right? So definitely Grihastha is for Artha and Kama. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So if the pleasure is more in Grihastha, if the earning, Artha, is more in the Grihastha, then definitely this should have more happiness. This is one logic. The second logic is, you may come up with a question, sannyasa is for the happiness, then why is Grihastha Ashrama? No. If sannyasa is out of frustration in Grihastha Ashrama, then definitely that is not sannyasa. You are going to get into a bigger trouble. There is two concepts which Krishna explains very beautifully in Bhagavad Gita or in his life. That is out of happiness and for happiness. I repeat, you do something out of happiness and you do something for happiness. There is someone who is outside in the door and he is begging. If you give food for happiness, dhanam, if I give dhanam, I'll get punyam. So punyam gives me happiness. So for my happiness, I am giving. If you have this attitude, this is low level, whereas I'm very happy. That fellow also should be happy. And without, out of my happiness, if I am giving, then this is the higher version. And in Grihastha all the married people should do all their activities out of happiness. It can be helping your life partner. It can be taking care of the chores in the house. It can be sharing the responsibility in the family, or it can be taking care of the children, parenting, anything, XYZ. All the activities, if it is out of happiness, then comes the right perspective towards married life. Now, I would like to enter into Bhagavad Gita in one concept. And this is in the first chapter. Bhagavad Gita is so vast, and I am just going to connect one dimension or maximum 2 or 3 dimensions. The first dimension which I would like to explain is, why did Arjuna get into confusion in the first place? Arjuna got into confusion out of pain. He had so much of pain. The very scene of seeing his relatives on the other side, brother, elder brother, younger brother, cousin brother, not cousin brother, uncle, grandfather, guru, in-laws, all were there, and just by seeing them, and this side also, because both sides deaths will happen, right? So seeing son, grandsons, so when he saw all people in all direction, he started getting compassion. Kripaya paraya vishto. Kripaya paraya vishto. Out of compassion, he got into so much of pain. And he got pain out of compassion. This is what the very shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Now, how can compassion happen here? Is it good or bad? When you see your relatives this side and that side, and in the war, they both are going to die, at that point of time, you should have compassion or not? This is a question. I'm going to bring 2 dimensions here, and I'm going to connect it with our real life also. When there is compassion out of, a situation which is going to happen in our life, then that compassion should come from the people, those who are unhappy only. There is a very beautiful sutram from Yoga Sutra of Patanjali Maharshi. Maitri karuna mudito pekshanam sukha dukha punya visheshanam bhavanatas chitta prasadanam. And in this sutra, Patanjali says there are 4 types of people everywhere. 4 types. Happy people, unhappy people, lucky people, unlucky people. That's all. You categorize all human beings in this planet into these 4 categories: happy, unhappy, lucky, unlucky. And you need to have 4 different kind of approaches towards these 4 different kinds of people. What kind of approaches? Sukha, dukkha, punya, apunya. These are the 4 types of people. Sukha, happy, asukha, sukha, dukkha, punya, apunya. And the 4 qualities which you need to have towards these 4 kinds of people are Maitri, friendship. So if a person is very, very happy, by seeing them, you should become friend. Why? Because when you are in friend, if you are a Sakha or Sakhi, then that quality will come to you. That is why choosing a friend is very, very important. And that is why Satsanga is important. So when a person is happy, if you make friendship with that person, is everything okay?
Yeah, everything okay. Sorry, I just made it to focus.
No problem. Okay. So Sukha, you need to be happy. If a person is in Dukkha, if a person is sad, then you should have compassion. Maitri, Karuna. Karuna is compassion. Kripaya, Karuna, all are same. Now, Karuna should happen only when a person is sad. And the third one is Punya. If a person gets a lottery, or if a person do a mistake and nobody finds him out and he walks happily, and that kind of a situation happen. Or a person is he got everything in his life. He got good family, he got good job, he's blissful. Few parts of that kind of a dimension may not be in your life. You are not supposed to feel jealous. At that point of time, you should have happiness. You should feel content for him. Lucky guy. You should not feel jealous. You should not get in touch with them because he doesn't own it. It luck happened to him. And therefore, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita. You need to be just happy for him. Lucky guy. Saved. The 4th one is called unhappy and unlucky. What is unlucky? Apunya means the people, those who are with the bad qualities. The people, those who are with so many unfortunate things in his life. It can be, you call any bad person in the road, you get any criminal in the road, they will come up with their own reasons why they are like that. Yes or no? So he can be a thief, he can be a criminal, he can be a unsuccessful person. And everybody will come up with a reason that because of this, I am like this, because of that, I am like this. So therefore, everybody have a reason. Therefore, at the end of the day, Patanjali says all these people comes under unlucky category. And those unlucky people, if you see, very, very important, you should be Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha. You need to be neutral. You should not have any emotion with those people. Why is this Upeksha? Why you need to be Upeksha? Because if you are in any relationship with that kind of a people, that will come to you. That kind of a mindset, that kind of an approach, that kind of a reaction, everything we also will adapt. And that is why Upeksha is needed. And what did Arjuna do here? Arjuna was a person who did exactly the ulta. Why? Because by seeing those people, those who are adharmis, correct? When he saw the adharmis, when he saw the people, those who don't even know for which they promised 13 years ago, and those who are ready to kill their own people, even at the cost of one house, they asked one house, right? So one house they are not ready to give, and their intention is to, they need to completely remove them from their, root, uproot them completely. So even after seeing such kind of a bad people, his emotion was karuna. And this karuna is not because they are sad people, but they are very much close to my heart. This is called Sangha. He got attached to these people. Attachment is very, very, very dangerous. And the English word attachment is completely misused in different contexts. So the bandham is different, and sangha is different, and attachment is different. So please don't confuse the words with the English attachment, because tomorrow when your child asks, don't you have attachment towards me? Are you detached with me? When these kinds of statements come, we get confused. Attachment is good, right? No, this is not love. Attachment is completely different. There's a very beautiful concept which I will tell little later. But before that, let me tell you one philosophical approach. I am Shankar and I have a family. 9 people are there, including me. 10 people are there in my house. Now, if I think all the 10 people in my house are my people, they are me, then I will have my aham bhava, right? That consciousness of aham will be with the 10 people. Now, if I take this house, the car, cycle, light, tube light, everything, then I will have aham bhava with all the non-living things also, aham bhava. Now, Arjuna had this aham bhava. Arjuna had this aham bhava with everybody in the other side of the army also in the wrong time. This is something like you can expand this aham bhava and you can invite anybody into it, and you can shrink it so that anything happens, you can be, right? Selfish people say, right? So these are the 2 extreme dimensions. Now, Arjuna's aham bhava included the Kauravas also. How many minutes more?
Please continue. Don't look at the time and all.
Please continue. We are enjoying your speech, so don't worry.
Please let me know 5 minutes before. Now, it is something like you have a room. You can add as many people and living beings and non-living beings inside the room, and you can call it I. And whenever anybody gets happiness, you get happiness. And when anybody get pain, you get pain. And it is like you can throw everybody outside and only you can stay inside that room. And anything happens to anybody, you will be carefree. And only when you get a pain, you really get a pain. 2 approach. Now, there is a very beautiful incident happened when I was teaching in MBA college. In Amrita, I was teaching for MBA students. When I was teaching, I was explaining a story of Swami Vivekananda ji, where Swami Vivekananda ji went to Chicago, and after the big speech, he got a very rich room and a luxurious room with fruits and food and sweets and everything. And Swami Vivekananda just looked towards the east and he started crying and rolling in the floor out of pain that the knowledge which I carried from India is giving me this much of things, but the very India is begging and starving. And they are struggling there, and so many Indians are living there this right moment, they are living without food. So thinking about the fellow Indians' pain, Swami Vivekananda started crying, weeping, etc. When this story I told, at the end of the session, a boy stood up and he asked me a very beautiful question. He told, sir, if Swami Vivekananda would have not loved all the Indians, he would have been happy, right? So my purpose is to be happy. So if I own the entire Indians as me, then if anything happens in China, if anything happens in Kashmir, I will feel pain. If anything happens in Madhya Pradesh, I will feel pain. If anything happens in Northeast, I will feel pain. At the end of the day, the possibility of pain is increasing if I add more people into my room, right? Aham bhava. So therefore, it is better to have less, right? So why should I add so many people inside and give more possibility of pain? Such an amazing question. Just to tell me, I am just curious, how many of you had this question already? If you had this question already, you can say yes. Just type yes. And if any of you is feeling, wow, such a good question, first time I am hearing, just to put W or WOW, wow. Because I'm just curious to know what exactly is your side of story, whether you already had this question or whether you are, feeling that wow with this question. And when this boy asked, this boy was very genuine. He was not selfish. He was not feeling, hatred towards the, universal love, etc. But he was just curious. Why in the first place I should love everybody? Because I cannot help everybody. I cannot be useful to anybody who are getting stuck in train accident in a faraway place. So that why should I have this universal love? And for that I give a very beautiful story. I would like to tell this story. It's a very small story. I don't take much time. And everything is connected with Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not telling shlokas. Please don't come to a wrong assumption. This happened in Tiruvannamalai, where Ramana Maharshi was one of the great saint who was living then, and he was inside the room. And around 12 o'clock in the noon, everybody will get free food. There were so many sannyasis waiting in the queue, and everybody were getting free meal that day. And after getting the meal, they all were sitting in different places, and there is a very big neem tree. Those who went know already. So around that neem tree, there is a very beautiful sitting space. So people were sitting there. And one person was also sitting with the food in his plate, but people were not going near him. That person was looking like a beggar, fully, uncombed hair, sticky hair and smelly dress, and never taken bath kind of a person. But that is not the reason why people are not sitting next to him. People are not sitting next to him because in his knee, in his leg knee, there was a very big injury, maybe some road accident or something. And because of this knee injury, so much of pus and so many insects and worms, flies, everything was there. And it was not a fresh wound. It's a very, very old wound. And intentionally, this guy was, maybe he's mentally retarded or something, but he was not taking care of his wound. And because of which the wound got, more, ugly, and many worms were coming out of the wound and very ugly thing. And because of this, so much of bad smell, and people are afraid of, going to that smell and eat. So therefore, everybody were staying away. The manager who was managing this entire food service found this, and he came near, and he was about to tell, please sir, can you sit there? Something like that he was about to tell. At that time, he found that from his wound, worms were flowing from his wound and falling down. And this guy took the worms and dropped it again on his knee. And by seeing this scene, this manager got very irritated, and he thought of even expelling this guy out of ashram. So he thought of asking permission from Ramana Maharshi, and he was very sure Ramana Maharshi will agree, so that, it's for everybody's good. And when he told Ramana Maharshi that such a guy is doing some nasty thing, shall I throw him out? Ramana Maharshi smilingly told, Avan Ramanan. He is Ramana. And this guy didn't understand anything. What? He's Ramana? What are you telling? Then again, Ramana Maharshi told, he is Ramana. At that time, somebody in the next to Ramana Maharshi told, he is also an Avaduta, he is also a Mukta Atma, Jivan Mukta. Therefore, please don't interfere. Now, after telling the story, when I asked this child, MBA student, what exactly do you think, why the man was doing this? And then this guy was telling, okay, if he's also realized the soul, maybe he is feeling the pain of the worms, therefore he don't want the worms to feel bad. So if the worms fell to the ground, the worms will not get food and the worms will die. So out of compassion towards the worm, he took the worms and dropped it in his knee. I understood the logic, what you are saying, he said. Then I said, imagine your mother when there is 4 rasagulla and there are 4 people in the house and all got 3 and mother was about to eat. At that time, if you come near mom and say, Mom, is there rasagulla? The rasagulla super, one more. Then will your mother give or not? Mother will definitely give. And when mother gives her rasagulla to the child, do you think mother will feel pain? No, mother will be very happy because the child is eating rasagulla and the child liked the sweet which I made, right? So even though mother didn't taste, even though mother is not having the sweet, mother is happy. So therefore, the tears is out of pain, but out of happiness also. So this is a very, very unique thing, which we need to understand as a Grihastha, because the Grihastha's life is definitely going to be a struggle. Grihastha's life is definitely going to have contradiction. And when the contradiction happens, we need to understand the pain and the pleasure. They are 2 sides of the same coin. So Arjuna's role of killing his own people is painful and happy. But Arjuna didn't realize what Krishna did. The most funny part of Mahabharata is Krishna played a double game. He was giving his own army to the other side, and he was standing in this side and helping to kill the other side. And honestly, think, who loved Duryodhana very much? Who loved Duryodhana very much? Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Shakuni, or all his brothers? The real person who really loved Duryodhana is not even Duryodhana. The real person who loved Duryodhana is Sri Krishna. Because in the entire Mahabharata, the only person who really tried to help Duryodhana is Sri Krishna. And once we understand this dimension, the very Mahabharatam will have a different picture in our understanding, and our own Mahabharatam, which is happening in every day in our life, in all walks of life, not only family life, work life, individual life, everywhere we will have a complete different picture. And this Aham Bhava, let me ask you a question. Now, what is the answer? Should we make the Aham Bhava big or small? The Sangha philosophy we know. This is also from the same origin. What is Guruji's statement? Main nahi, tu hi. And Guruji went to the highest spiritual order where main nahi. So he himself comes out of the room and he dumps all the world inside. This is super amazing. And here he doesn't pull him outside. Main nahi means it's not that I am not there, because Guruji also ate every day. Right? People come up with stupid logics, because logic is something, a very funny thing. We should not we should not entertain more with the logics. Logics will not lead us to understanding. Logics, when we drive more towards logics, we will get fun in understanding, but no implementation will happen. And that is what happened to all other people. But Krishna used logic for others. For him, he never used logic. And when that kind of a Shraddha comes, when that kind of a beingness comes, then the life will be more simple. And initially, Krishna used so many logics. He tried, don't be a coward, fight. You will go to Swargara, fight. So many logics he came, so many dialogues he said in the first chapter. But after a certain moment, when Krishna saw Arjuna's philosophical statements, we also do in marriage, right? When, I remember this. When I was studying in Gurukulam, when I started learning Upanishads, I had so much of confusion in my mind on different things. And one such thing was happiness. And when one day I saw my mother and father fighting, I really got confused. And I told, I'm not going to marry. I'm telling from childhood. I was telling, I'm married and I have 2 sons now. So from my childhood, I thought of becoming a Sangh Pracharak, and I used to tell everywhere, I'm not marrying, not marrying. And one day when I saw my mother fighting with my father, from my heart, I told, I don't want to marry. And when my mother asked why, I told, you both are fighting. I don't want to fight like this. I feel all the unhappy people, those who come to our house are happier. Therefore, I'm not going to marry. And my mother told a statement. Parma, Sandoshon, Dukhon, Rendume, life le irukada seiyum. Sukh aur dukh dono milkar hi aayega. You can't run away from pain in your life. Happiness and pain both will be there in life. So therefore, you need to accept it. And my question was this: if you know happiness and pain both are in life, tell me, if you know happiness and pain both are in life, will there be any difference for you? Imagine exactly at 7 o'clock, current cut will happen in your home. You know this, pakka. And when 7 o'clock current cut happens, will you feel disappointed? Will you feel angry? No, right? 7 o'clock happened, right? But imagine you don't even know current cut happens and you are planning for a big party, and suddenly when current cut happens, you feel disastered, right? So if a person knows life is with the sukha and dukh, both will happen definitely, then ideally my mother should be always happy, right? All our mothers, who everybody knows, mother, father, everybody tell this dialogue, right? Happiness and pain in life, up, down, everything will be there. But when the pain happens, no one is there to tell the same dialogue. When the pain happens, are we having the guts to tell, yeah, pain is also happening in life? And when we accept pain as if it is a normal thing like a current cut, then there is no more pain that from that moment onwards. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to bring the statements of concepts from Shastras in an English way. I don't know whether I made it applicable or, did I explain correctly or not? I don't know. But
very good, sir. Very good. Very good.
Okay, ji.
Thank you. Please continue.
So if that is, if we have understood this, happiness and pain both will definitely come in life, then the beauty is we will reach a level after certain time, our fluctuation will not be there. We will not go more depressed. We will not go more excited. We will not have hardcore quarrel. We will not remember all the things happened in our childhood. We will not, forget the other person and do whatever we want to do. And the complaints will not increase. The list of the worries will not increase. Whereas everything will become more beautiful. Every day the happiness should increase. First day of marriage, a person should be happy, or 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later, a person should be happy. The happiness graph should grow or happiness graph should come. But what is the general statement of married people? Today, marriage jokes are very famous. Ideally, when a person really understands what is Grihastha Ashrama from an Indian perspective, when a person listens to any marriage joke or husband and wife joke or watch any reels or pranks, then they should cry, because someone out there doesn't know how to lead a life and they are making these things out of pain. So Krishna's approach of life was completely holistic, and it is subjective also. Let me give you one more example. Before that, I'll conclude this. The room should be more with people when we are discussing the social things, when we are discussing the happiness things, when we are sharing our happiness, more should be inside. And when we are discussing about individual happiness, that time we need to have more people. And when we are not in a situation to control the things outside, when you can't change your son, when you can't change your wife, when you can't change your relative, when you can't handle, when you can't make the world the way you want, at that point of time, you should make the room empty so that nobody can make you unhappy. Understand, this may be, superficial, euphoric dialogues, but it takes so much of time to explain with examples and steps, etc. But I will also give you how to do that also at the end. But before that, please try to understand this. It is not that all the time we should have all the people inside. It is not that all the time we should be alone inside. The aham bhava should be filled with the people, and also should be you alone. For some simple example, let us take any pracharak or any sannyasi for that matter. Their whole life is in the society. They are in the society. They are not running away to the forest or Himalayas. There are so many saints and so many Mahatmas and so many pracharaks, Akhila Bharatiya rank, anybody, so great people living from the day one of their Sangh life or spiritual life for the society. Every day they interact with people. Every day they take others' problem into their head and they think, they worry, they plan, they execute all the things. If they are all the time having everybody in their aham bhava, I am means everything, then suddenly Sangha will say, shift your department, shift your place, go to some other department, do this work. It will be completely different thing. And how will they be able to live? Because they now got attached there and they can't, send other people out and bring some other people inside. Correct? And even if they are in the same place, at moment they definitely get attached with them, like how Arjuna got attached. I repeat, Arjuna got attached because he didn't know when he should be alone. If you know when you should be alone and when you should be family, I am family, I am Indian, I am me. If we don't know when to shift these things in our life, we miss things. In office, we think about family, and in home, we will thinking about office. You heard this dialogue generally, right? You know what? In home, that person is having aham office, I am office, and he thinks as an office. And in office, that person is thinking as a family, aham pita. So this shift of aham bhava is the problem statement for Arjuna. Arjuna didn't realize who he is, why he is, where he is. If we also don't realize who we are, where we are, why we are, with whom we are, then definitely we also will face exactly the Arjuna situation. We may be talented, we may be skillful, we may be experienced, we may be fabulous with so many achievements, and with all those things, we also will be a big failure. So therefore, the aham bhava should have the ability to customize based on the need. So whom and all I should have in aham bhava, when I should have, how I should have, how long I should have, all these things we need to understand. And once a person understands this, then that person can sustain in any situation. Whether he is alone, dropped in an island, he will be happy. Whether he is dropped into the kingdom as a king, he will be happy. Do you remember anybody? Yes, Sri Ramachandra Murthy. He was a king first day. Second day, he was a forest traveler alone with the two people with him. And he was same. And wife gone, he was same. Now, the question comes with this kind of situation, then they all are emotionless people, right? So in a yeruma maadu mari irukku solringla appadinu kepanga, right? So the buffaloes, when they walk in the road, whether it is raining, whether it is sunny, no difference, straight. So the skin is, buffalo skin will be very, very thick, no emotion, no Sthita Prajna Lakshanam, or reaching that level of Krishna's mindset is not to be emotionless or expressionless. They also will cry. Rama cried when Sita was abducted. Rama cried, and when there was jewels fallen in the road, when Lakshmana took the jewels and showed to Rama, do you know whether this is Sita Devi's? Then Rama told he was continuously crying. Therefore, he couldn't see which is there in front. So he told, I am so much in tears, therefore I can't even see what jewel you are holding. Therefore, you yourself tell, do you recognize any of the jewel as your sister-in-laws? So that much of tears Rama had. But at the same time, he was having the maturity to give one day excuse for Ravana in the war field in the last day after killing all the bad people in his kingdom. Because he was so balanced. Because he was not allowing the situation to take over. He know when to be alone and when to add on people. And he had even Ravana in the room. That is why when Ravana died, when he was about to die in his deathbed in the war field, Rama called Lakshmana and told to go touch his feet and ask him what are all the learnings he had in his life so that you can learn from him. And Lakshmana was shocked, but because of his brother's order, he went and touched the feet of Ravana and asked his lessons of his life. So Rama had that balance, and when to increase the Ahambhava and when to exclude himself in the Ahambhava, he knew. So one more thing, don't think that, oh, so the purpose of this session is to become Rama and Krishna. No. When we think so, then the task will become very far away from our reach. Arre yaar, wo sab nahi hoga. But no, even one step we go in the control of Ahambhava, when to and when not to, then our happiness would be very big. We can't even imagine. The forgiveness comes when the person is inside. When you fight with your life partner, when the person is outside the room. When that person is, imagine a simple example. Your wife is about to clean all the vessels. If every day she is cleaning, today also she is going to clean. But if today, just out of, you saw her little tired today or with the headache, something, she said, I am having full headache today. Just one word you remember. And if you clean the vessels that day, just that moment when you take the decision that I will clean, that time she is inside the room. You didn't do the mistakes, but your husband is scolding you black and blue, and you understand he doesn't know what I did. That is why he's scolding. But I understand. It's because he don't know he's telling. It's natural. And you forgive him, and you don't argue with him, or you don't prove your innocence. You just accept, and you just allow him to cool with a smile or with the silence. Then that moment your husband is inside your room. Likewise, you need to know when to and when not to. When father is seeing son doing a mistake, he stole a pen from his classmate, and the father tells, don't do again. Okay, go. Then the son is in the wrong time inside the room. Father should have called the teacher and told, this boy have stolen some pen, and I want to inform you, and tomorrow I'll give you the pen, and whatever punishment you want to give as a school teacher, please do give. At that decision, when father literally asks son to be punished to his teacher, the son is outside the room. You are understanding the connection? We need to have that viveka. We need to have that discrimination. And now the two solutions I will give, how to find out, how to get this, how to understand this, how to control this ahambhava, when I should have my concept and when I should have collective concept. One reason is satsanga. There is a very beautiful shloka of Shankaracharya. Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan muktihi. And for everything, the easiest solution is satsanga. Now, the satsanga, what we need to have is the people, those who had this kind of experience in their life. The people, those who know when to control their ahambhava and when to expand their ahambhava. If a person has this knowledge, then that person will not be in the situation of Arjuna. Krishna had that ahambhava with the entire world. When Gandhari told, your entire kula will be dead, Krishna was smiling. You can't imagine this, right? Krishna loved his countrymen in such a way, he even literally got a bad name of Ranchor. He ran away from Warfield just because to save his own countrymen. And he moved his kingdom from one place to the other just to save his countrymen. And that countrymen are going to kill themselves and die because of the Gandhari Shapa. At that moment, Krishna was smiling. So unpredictable. Why? Because he know the rule of ahambhava's expansion and minimization whenever required. And the second thing, the first thing, the satsanga. So do we need a satsanga with Krishna and Rama? Possible. Definitely that is also there. There are so many amazing books. There are so many amazing lectures. In India, we have, in Telugu, we have Chaganti Garu. So many people. Every state got so many amazing people. Those who literally talk about great people's life and their philosophy. And just by listening to it, reading to it, watching to it, you will get satsanga. Satsanga is not like meeting 10 hours with the 20 people online or offline. No, it can be and it cannot be also. So satsanga is one thing. It can be virtual, it can be bookish, or it can be even amazing people. Go and meet such people, spend some time with such people, spend some quality seva with them, so that you can offer your own free time for such activity, any such activity where you don't get anything out of it, so that the satsanga of such people will enrich you to get control over your aham bhava in and out. Expansion and conclusion. The second dimension is again, it's a philosophical but very practical. It's called Sakshi Prajna. In Upanishad, there is a very beautiful mantra where they say there is a tree's branch and two birds are sitting, and one bird is eating and one bird is seeing this bird eating. And both the birds are you. If I am the two bird, and now I am speaking, and when I am uttering different words and different sentences, if I can able to stand here and watch myself, oh Shankara, oh, so do you do this? If I ask myself when I am telling something which I am not practicing, and that the statement of that bird, that Shankar who is watching me telling the statement, will give me the real realization, that day I did a mistake, that day I scolded my wife, or that day I didn't behave in a balanced way, that day I reacted in a very over emotional. And this kind of a practical, our own observation from outsiders will help us to understand our decisions in a better way. The first one is dependent. The second one is independent. You yourself is the teacher who is going to correct your own paper. Initially, definitely it is going to be tough, but definitely this makes a wonderful experience. When you judge your behavior, whenever a fight happens, why did I fight in the first place? Who started? What happened? Who told which statement? Why did I get angry in the first place here? Arjuna didn't do any of these things. Arjuna was shaking. His hands were shaking. He was sweating. His legs were trembling. And he himself tells, my hands are shaking. I am sweating. I am trembling. I can't even hold my Gandiba. He dropped the Gandiba in the middle of the warfield and he sat without his control. Why? Because he was not there to watch and tell what is happening or what is going to happen. He was fully involved. When we watch a movie, what happens? We cry as if we are having that pain. Why? Because we became that. That means the bird died. Only the eating bird is there. That too not our eating. Somebody eating, you became that bird also. That is even more pathetic, right? So therefore here, Arjuna was not having the Sakshi Bhava of what he is doing, whereas Krishna had the Sakshi Bhava. That is why when Arjuna was crying, Krishna was just observing. Okay, he's crying. He was observing. Krishna didn't react. A reaction will happen only when the observation is not there. If Krishna is also not having Sakshi Bhava, then what would have happened? When Arjuna cried, hey, don't cry now. This is not the time. Correct? But you know what happened? For so many shlokas, Arjuna was crying and trembling. Why did this happen? My hands will be blood if I killed. With that bloody hand, how can I be the king of this kingdom? All logics, punch dialogues, philosophies he was speaking. And Krishna was just observing and smiling. Until and unless Arjuna himself told, my dear Arjuna, my dear Krishna, now you tell me. Whatever you say, now you tell me. And now I will listen to you. I am confused. You help me. And when this statement was told by Arjuna, only then Krishna opened his mouth. And what happens in our house? Only reactions happen, no action. Because there is no observer at all. We will be waiting. Or sometimes even when the other person is talking, we will be jumping. Do you know what happened? Let me complete. Hey, I know where you are coming. All these things will happen. So Sakshi Bhava plays a very, very vital role where a person will have more composed observation of his or her own actions, words and deeds and thoughts. So I have one more concept. I am not very sure about the time. If there is time, I will, or fine, I think I covered. It's fine. There is a lot more to share, but it is good that I got this opportunity. I am very, very happy for sharing my thoughts here, and thank you for this opportunity. And Sarvebhya Namaha.
Swasti.
धन्यवादः महोदय। भवतः भाषणं समीचीनमस्ति, बहु उपयोगाय अपि भवति। इन्द्रियाणां निग्रहणं मनसि एव। इत् विषयं सम्यक् उक्तवान् भवान्। Thank you so much, sir. Really, your speech is very nice and as well as useful for us. There is no words to express our thoughts regarding your speech. Thank you so much. Agre gachamah sarala samskritam vargam chalayitum Shrimati Brigada Prasanna Mataram ahvayami. Samskrita sahityam vishaye esha MA PhD kritavati. आधुनिक संस्कृत विषयमपि पठन्ति अस्ति। इदानीं श्रीमद् आण्डवन् महाविद्यालयः तिरुचीनगरे संस्कृत भाषा विभागे उप प्राध्यापिका कार्यं कुर्वती अस्ति। Mrs. Brigada Prasanna is Masters in Mass Communications and Master in Sanskrit, doing PhD in Modern Sanskrit Literature. At present, working as an assistant professor at Postgraduate and Research Department of Sanskrit in Srimad Aandavan Arts and Science College, Autonomous, Trichirappalli.
Namasabhayai.
Namaskara Mata. शृणोति किन्तु क्लेशः अस्ति। Your voice is breaking actually.
इदानीं श्रूयते वा? सम्यक् श्रूयते वा?
आं माता श्रूयते।
अहं PPT प्रेषितवती।
स्क्रीन्शाट् करोति वा?
कर्तुं शक्यते?
अहं न जानामि, होस्ट मध्ये पृच्छतु माता।
I have just made you as a co-host. You can share now.
धन्यवादः महोदय, धन्यवादः।
धन्यवाद।
महोदय अत्र स्क्रीन् शेर् कर्तुं
Yeah, I think it allows you because you become the co-host now. Can you try sharing your screen?
Yeah, I don't have any such options here.
There is one button called share screen. Do you see that in
No,
green color? It's
yes. It's in
Green
the middle.
color.
It's in the middle. Just now happened
Yeah.
to see. I'll share. So from then I should share the screen.
Whatever
right?
is there on the screen will come here.
Yes.
Do you have that on the screen of your laptop?
Yes, sir. Is it visible that my screen is seen now?
Not yet.
Not yet, not yet.
No. Okay. I haven't used this app actually, so
Now
now
this
that
is,
is yes.
Yeah, your screen is seen.
Okay.
Sanskritam
Huh.
Samyak Kritam. Display over the apps. Sanskritam.
इदानीं द्रष्टुं शक्यते वा?
Fine,
Now
fine,
that-
fine.
Yes. So I first let me start from here in English, and I thank Vishwaguru team for giving me this opportunity to handle the session on Sarala Samskritam. So as the name goes, Samskritam, which means by its name itself is Samyak Kritam. that which is well done. As you people would know, the grammar part of Sanskritam is actually well done, and hence the name itself says it has no change anywhere you speak. So today I'm going to tell you certain details about days, and I have listed down. Is my screen properly visible, or should I zoom a little bit to be very much clear?
आम् माता दृश्यते सम्यक् दृश्यते
धन्यवादः महोदय. So today I'm going to tell about the days which we generally use, and I'm just going to tell you about today, yesterday, tomorrow, and though the reasons why it is being called so in Sanskrit, like Adhya, Hyaha, and Shvaha. First, to see the days, I have just listed down Monday to Sunday. I mean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on the left hand side, I have just listed down the Sanskrit terms used to denote all these Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Soma Vasaraha, or otherwise it is called as Indu Vasaraha, which refers to the moon. And hence the name also goes as Monday, which resembles against the moon. So second day, as we all know, would be Mangalavasaraha. In Hindi also it is called as Mangalvar. And the other name of Mangalavasaraha is Baumavasaraha. The third one, Wednesday, is Budhavasaraha, which is otherwise called as Saumyavasaraha. And Thursday is called as Guru Vasaraha, or otherwise called as Brihu Vasaraha. And Friday is Shukra Vasaraha, Saturday is Shani Vasaraha, and Sunday is Ravi Vasaraha, or otherwise Banu Vasaraha. So all these days, as we all know, gets its name from the planets. So each name has the planets which it has been representing. So you people, I mean, the people around here, we people will be knowing the days and their name reasons. So I'm moving on to the next slide about Niruktam. I just want to give you a brief about what is Niruktam. It is nothing else. It is etymological derivations. So who did this? Why it is being done? From where it got its root. So as other Veda Moolam, as we say, Veda Akhila Moolam, it has been told so by Manu. So Vedas are the root cause for everything, and Niruktam also stands from there, or we get Niruktam also from there. So what does this name Niruktam? So it says every word has its own etymological derivations or meaning in itself. And it has been given to us by Acharya Yaska. It is said that Yaskacharya was actually probing into give us lessons on grammar. But at one point, he saw that it is best that first the word meaning should be analyzed, then on we can go to the grammar. And from then on, he started to get himself go deep into this etymological derivations. And that's how today we are reading Niruktam, which is a part of Veda, Veda Purushasya, Niruktam Shrautram Uchyate. The Veda Purusha, actually Veda has 6 angas, and this Veda Purusha's Shrautram. Shrautram is what you hear. So a proper word which has the meaning in itself. That is derived from this Niruktam, and that is given by Yaskacharya. And next we see about Adhya, the days which I told you. So what is Adhya? Dyuhu Dyotate iti anena. This is the word, this is the derivation given for the single term Adhya. Dyuhu Dyotate iti anena. Adhya. So the day has started to shine. This gives us that Adhya means today. So the day which has been started now. Adya. Adya Mangalavasaraha. Ityukte. Today is Tuesday. We are present in Tuesday. So, Dyuhu Dhyotate iti anena, and hence the term Adya. Then why Shvaha? These are all the statements given by Yaskacharya in his Niruktam. And for Shvaha, he says, Upasamshaniyaha Kalaha. For tomorrow, Shvaha. I'll tell you in English, sorry also. For Shvaha, it means tomorrow. Upasamshaniya Kalaha. So the day which is unexpected, or sorry, expected to come, that is tomorrow. And hence the word Shvaha. Then what does Hyaha, yesterday, means? Hinaha Kalaha. The day which is less, that has gone, that which is gone. We say Angahinaha. So which means there is a part less. Someone who is referred as Angahinaha will have some disability, something less from a normal person. So that means Hina, less. So from the days which we are traveling, or the life's days, from there one day or the day yesterday that is gone. So that is called as Hinaha Kalaha. So from here, I have told you about what are those days and how to say today, tomorrow, yesterday in Sanskrit. That means Adya for today, Shvaha for tomorrow, Hyaha for yesterday. So now that I'm going to add some other two words having the Upasarga, Para and Prapara to denote the day before the day before. The day before, then the day before the day before. So Adya stands in the middle, having the same term Adya, because we don't have any past tense and present tense for today. Though the time which we come across, I mean, the 3 o'clock after evening is actually the past tense. Thereon we can't say it is to be the yesterday timing. It is in today's time. We have crossed the 3 o'clock, we have crossed the 6 o'clock, and we are running with the present timing. Hyaha, which means, sorry, Hyaha, which means the yesterday. For Hyaha, Parahyaha refers to the day before, and Praparahyaha, I'm sorry, it is actually, the word is interchanged here. It is Praparahyaha beneath this yesterday's fourth term, and for tomorrow it will be Praparashvaha. It is like Hyaha, Parahyaha, Praparahyaha, Shvaha, Parashvaha, Praparashvaha, which means Hyaha, yesterday, Parahyaha, day before, and Praparahyaha, the day before the day before. And Shvaha is tomorrow, Parashvaha, the day after, Praparashvaha, the day after the day after. Hope I have made the concept of Hyaha, Adya, Shvaha, along with Parahyaha, Praparahyaha, Parashvaha, and Praparashvaha clear. So now that we can just utilize these days with, sorry, these days names with Adya, Shvaha, Hyaha. Can anyone tell me Adya Kahavasaraha? What is the day today?
Adya Mangalavasaraha.
Uttamam. So Shvaha Kahavasaraha.
Budhavasara.
On the sorry, when you say ninga vandu Shvaha, Adya, Hyaha, if you say it along, then you will know, you will get to know the difference. So Shvaha Kahavasaraha.
Budhavasara.
Shvaha Budhavasaraha. Uttamam. Parashvaha Kahavasaraha.
Parashvaha Guruvasara.
Uttamam. Uttamam. Hyaha Kahavasaraha.
Yaha Somavasara.
Uttamam. Uttamam. Somavasarasya Anyanama. What is the other name for
Induvasaraha.
Somavasaraha?
Induvasaraha.
Induvasaraha. Uttamam. Guruvasarasya Anyanama Kim?
Brihuvasaraha.
Brihuvasaraha. Uttamam. Shukravasarasya Anyanamaha Asti va?
Nasti.
Shukravasare Nasti. Uttamam. Bhanuvasaraha ityukte kaha vasaraha? Bhanuvasaraha means which day?
Ravivasara.
Ravivasaraha, which means Sunday. Yes. So Shvaha, Parashvaha means what? What does Parashvaha? Parashvaha?
Day after.
Vasaraha.
Day after. Okay. Praparashvaha?
Guruvasaraha. Day
Guruvasaraha.
after day after.
Day after, day after. Uttamam. Praparahyaha?
Day before, day before.
Day before, day before. What was the day? Day before, day before.
Ravivasaraha.
Ravivasaraha. Uttamam. Uttamam. Is the time? Is it clear what I told? The small concept I took since being for 20 minutes. Mahodaya, is it clear?
Excellent,
Should
excellent.
I give?
Very much clear. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahodaya.
Thank you. Thank you,
Very
Mahodaya.
good, very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brihada.
Can I? Ma'am?
सम्यक् सम्यक् चालिता मम हार्दिक धन्यवादाः
Dhanyosmi Mata. Dhanyosmi.
एकवारम् अद्य इदानीं वयं शनिवासरः इति चिन्तयामः इत्युक्त्वा एकवारं सर्वेषां कृते नो चेत् एकः चेत् एकवारं चिन्त्य अभ्यासरूपेण कुर्मः इति चिन्तये
आं महोदय कुर्मः
इति चिन्त्य कुर्मः इति एकवारम् एकैकं वा नो चेत् एकमात्रं वा तादृशम् अभ्यासं कर्तुं प्रार्थये
आं महोदय कुर्मः महोदय अद्य रविवासरः today you just we shall consider to be some other day other than Tuesday. So is anyone ready to answer, or that we can collectively answer? If anyone is willing to answer, you can. Just we can consider to be the other day. Shukravasarah. Adya Shukravasarah.
Okay.
Shvaha kaha vasarah?
Shvaha Shanivasarah.
Uttamam. Praparashvaha kaha vasarah?
Praparashvaha Ravivasarah.
Uttamam. Dhanyavadah. Praparahyaha kaha vasarah? Adya Shukravasarah. Praparahyaha kaha vasarah? Bhanuvasarah. Uttamam. Adya Somavasarah. Adya Somavasarah. Praparahyaha kaha vasarah?
Praparahyaha Shanivasarah.
Shanivasarah. Dhanyavadah. Adya Bhruguvasarah. Adya Bhruguvasarah. Shvaha kaha vasarah?
Shukravasarah.
Uttamam. Praparashvaha?
Shanivasarah.
Shanivasarah.
परश्वः एव शनिवासरः खलु प्रपरश्वरः रविवासरः भवेत् वा
अद्य
गुरुवासरः
अद्य गुरुवासरः
क्षम्यताम् श्वः शुक्रवासरः प्रपरश्वः शनिवासरः
न परश्वः शनिवासरः प्रपरश्वः
अद्य भृगुवासरः हेलो हरि ओम् हरि ओम्
आम् सम्यक्
श्रूयते वा अद्य भृगुवासरः इति चिन्तयित्वा प्रपरश्वः कः वासरः
रविवासरः
न
शनि
शनिवासरः प्रपरश्वः शनिवासरः
रविवासरः भवेत् किल यतः गुरुवासरः अद्य
Adhya. Shvaha Shukravasarah. Shukravasarah.
Parashvaha
Shanivasarah.
Praparashvaha Ravivasarah.
Ravivasarah.
Uttamam.
So today, tomorrow, day after, and the day after. So Adhya, tomorrow is Shvaha, Parashvaha. So Wednesday today, tomorrow will be Thursday, which means Shvaha. Parashvaha will be Friday. Praparashvaha will be Saturday. Am I clear? Or is it little bit confusing so that again it has to be practiced?
Sarve avagatam. Dhanyavadah.
Dhanyavadah. Mahodaya, can I stop sharing the screen? Or there is any more practice needed? Because I don't know, is the time given over?
It's fine today. It's fine for today, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dhanyavadah.
धन्यवादः माता
Dhanyavadah.
भवती संस्कृतं सम्यक् पठितवती. Thank you, ma'am. You
Thank
taught
you, ma'am.
Sanskrit in an easy way to learn. Agre, question and answer session. Idanim bhavantah sandegah nivartanartham prashnam prashtum shakyate. Now the question and answer session starts. You can make use of this opportunity to clear your doubts.
I want to tell something. I'm extremely sorry. I just now saw the time. I took more time.
It is not Sankarji, it is not you forget the time. We all forget the time how much you have spent.
You don't have to say sorry. It's a pleasure listening to your lecture.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
so
was shocked literally. It's been
yes, Srivardhanji mentioned there is no words to explain. I think it touches everyone's heart.
And
with your
Shankar, we
permission,
want
we
you
can
again. We want you.
Yeah, and with
Your
permission,
style of
we can
talking
also
is very
spread
nice.
this video.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you, Ji.
Please come whenever you have time.
Definitely, Ji. I am running a course, so
You are doing it very
you can
nice.
also tell to all newly
Yeah.
married people and about to marry people. My mission is to reach 1 lakh couples before 2025. Very nice. Thank you.
Okay. A small question,
Ji.
not to you, but to all the audience. When was the first translation of Bhagavad Gita into a foreign language made? You'll be surprised to know that it was made by a Mughal king. And his name was Dara Shikoh, the elder brother of Aurangzeb.
Aurangzeb.
Not that he directly translated it, but he established a commission to translate 52 Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita into Persian language. Then an Italian priest, he translated Bhagavad Gita into Latin language. And from that Latin, the first Latin was not spoken language. So the first spoken language in which Bhagavad Gita entered Europe was Polish language. From the Latin, it was translated into Polish language. The first translation of Bhagavad Gita into English was in 1755 by Charles Wilkins. And at that time, the Governor General, I forget his name all the time. He was the second Governor General of India after Robert Clive.
Warren Hastings.
Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings told East India Company chairman that you please publish this book. And the chairman said, no, we are not into all these things. We are only for trading and for ruling. We are not for publishing. But and if somebody tomorrow asks me a question and this, I won't be able to answer, and I'll cut a sorry figure. So Warren Hastings said, don't worry about any criticism. I will write the foreword, and therefore I will take the ownership. But since East India Company is such a great company, it is ruling so many countries of the world, let me add one sentence that decades later, when East India Company would not exist, at that time, Bhagavad Gita will rule the world. This is what Warren Hastings had said in 1785. And now today, Bhagavad Gita is taught in so many management colleges around the world. Anyway, thank you. Vilbaji, continue.
I am done now. It's so Kumarji.
Can go for vote of thanks.
Yes, Ji.
धन्यवाद। विश्वगुरु संस्थानस्य मुख्य प्रमुखः शिवकुमार महोदयः विशालीकृष्णन् महोदयांश्च माम् अद्य अस्मिन् अवसरे धन्यवादं प्रकटयितुम् उद्युक्तः। तान् मम धन्यवादान् समर्पयामि। पुनः इदानीं मम धन्यवादभाषणं वक्तुम् आहूतां वेङ्कटलक्ष्मीजी प्रत्यपि धन्यवादान् समर्पयामि। अद्यतन विश्वगुरु संस्थानस्य मासिक तदसः परिपूर्णतया भगवन्तः कृपया सम्यक् प्रचलितः इत्यनेन भगवन्तम् अस्माकं धन्यवादान् प्रकटयामः। अद्यतन मुख्य अतिथिरूपेण सभाम् अलङ्कृतभ्यः विशेषभाषणं वर्षितेभ्यः च श्री शङ्करकुमारं महोदयभ्यः विश्वगुरु संस्थान सकाशात् अस्माकं धन्यवादान् समर्पयामः। प्रार्थनाय संध्या महोदयां भगवद्गीता श्लोक वक्तृभ्यो शिवकुमार महोदयेभ्यो सुभाषित वक्तृत्वभ्यो उमा जयरामजी महोदयाभ्यश्च मम हार्दिक धन्यवादान् प्रकटयामि। अद्य सरल संस्कृत संभाषण वर्गः बहु उत्साहतया प्रचलिता श्रीमती ब्राहदा महोदया, ताभ्यां च अस्माकं हार्दिक धन्यवादाः। सर्वदा वयं सर्वे श्री रविकुमार महोदयेभ्यो मार्गदर्शिभ्यो नमस्कारपूर्वकम् अस्माकं हार्दिक धन्यवादान् समर्पयामः। पुनः पुनः श्रीमती वेङ्कटलक्ष्मी महोदयाम् अद्यतन कार्यक्रमं निर्विघ्नेन सम्यक् प्रचलिता, तदर्थं ताभ्यां मम हार्दिक धन्यवादाः। अद्य विशेषतया अस्मिन् सदसि भागं स्वीकृतेभ्यः ताभ्यामश्च विश्वगुरु संस्थानस्य सकाशात् अस्माकं विशेष धन्यवादान् प्रकटयामः। धन्यवादाः, नमस्काराः च। I will shortly explain the gist of this vote of thanks in English.
धन्यवादः भगिनी।
Should I stop here?
वदतु भगिनी।
Dhanyavad. So on behalf of Vishwaguru Sansthan, first of all, I extend my most sincere thanks to Paramatma for making today's event such a resounding success. And I'm immensely thankful to Shri Shankara Kumara Mahodaya because he has given such a profound talk in such a relatable and a simple way. And so to Brahada Mahodaya for conducting today's Saral Sanskrit classes. Special thanks to our mentor Shri Ravi Kumarji for his invaluable guidance. And my sincere gratitude goes to the entire Vishwaguru team and to all participants for joining in us today and making this event a success. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad.
धन्यवादः भगिनी। Actually, I want to say about our अनुश्री गिसाजी भगिन्याः विवरणम् आङ्ग्लं मध्ये वदामि. Mrs. Anushri Gishadaha, she obtaining engineering degree in chemical technology, interest in history and international relations landed her to work with Vivekananda International Foundation in Delhi. She pursued her post-graduation from the Department of War Studies at King's College in London. Later, she worked as research fellow at Kabul-based company. Currently, she is working independently on cultural and civilization continuity between India and Afghanistan. Dhanyavadaha Bhagini.
धन्यवाद.
इदानीं वयं कार्यक्रमस्य अन्तिमभागे स्मः. अतः शान्तिमन्त्रं वक्तुम् अहं श्री विशाली कृष्णन् महोदयम् आह्वयामि.
Can we have Viswanathan ji? He has joined later. Let him say the Subhashitam he has prepared. I hope.
Okay,
the one
shall I call him?
Yes,
Shall I call him, ma'am?
Yes. Vishwanath ji, are you there?
He's here.
K. Vishwanathan ji is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am there. I am there. I am there.
Yeah, yes, please.
Please,
you please introduce him for Subhashitam.
Yeah. Vishwanathan ji, कृपया सुभाषितं वदतु इति अहं प्रार्थयामि.
First of all, I am extreme apologies to all of you because I was deeply engrossed in so many other things, so I couldn't really remember this in time. And I should thank Shivakumar Iyer for giving me a call and reminding me. I could catch up in time, but then Subhashitan time slot was lost. But better late than never. I'll just recite it like this. Jajanti Mitrani Daner Vihinam Darasya Putrasya Surjanasya Tam Arthavantam Punarashrayanti Artohi Dehe Purushasya Bandhu. The meaning is, friends leave the man without money, so do wives, sons, and other affectionate people. They all come back after the man is again wealthy. So, wealth is the only real brother of the man in this world. Thank you.
धन्यवादः महोदय. सुभाषितं बहु सम्यक् अस्ति. Really very interesting one. You came late, but your Subhashitam is very nice. So very late, very nice Subhashitam you gave for us. Thank you so much, sir. Shanti mantram bhaktam Vishali Krishnan. Mataram ahvayam.
I request everyone to join with me. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhave Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
धन्यवादः माता. सर्वेभ्यः धन्यवादः.
You can stop the recording now.
Yeah, just a moment. I will.
Is it allowed for me to ask a question to Shankarji if time permits?
Yeah. Please,
Yeah.
please.
After stopping the recording, we can discuss.
Okay.
No issues.
Should I stop it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let her ask the question, Anushri.